Hey citizens, welcome to 11's Hangar Combat Tactics. We are now in session. We're going to jump right into the action. Brief specs of the Buccaneer and today's weapon loadout and Star Citizen Alpha 314 are on screen. I'll join you in the suite after the combat footage. Alright, well, welcome to the suite. I wanted to go over some of the, I guess, a more advanced maneuver that took place a few times during the fight that you were watching. So I'm going to run it one more time and then we'll get into it. This is one of the more aggressive maneuvers, and what I did here was I found the distance and found the space between the missile and the ship and kind of used that to deflect the missile and be able to stay on target. So we'll break it down a little bit. Let's see, let's get a straight edge. Let's do line of sight from the missile to the ship, and then we'll use that was kind of the point that the ship was going in after he fired the missile, so that is the space in between. Move that there a little bit. Alright, so what I did was, as I started to move towards the arrow, I used flares. That's the first thing we did to draw that missile to the position that we're going to move away from. So I came in, there's a flare there, and I started to pivot towards the ship. So that is a rotation with roll and then pitch. But I continued moving this way. As I was doing that, I rolled and then I pitched, still with the forward motion. So there's a flare going off that way as I come down. There's a flare going off that way, and it's drawing the missile away. And it allowed me to be on target with the arrow, and this is in a lead pursuit. We're using slow ammo. We want to fire ahead so he flies into it. As he goes by, he's taking hits, and we tucking around him. Now, as you saw in the video, when this part happened here, the missile, you could see on the screen, it still was going in the direction of those flares that had been let go. And it allowed me to pursue the target, get shots on the target, and evade the missile at the same time. So what we're going to do now is we're going to cover range of motion. Get this out of the way. I'll leave that there for a moment. When you're flying, there's a few directions that you have to move in. Up, down, left, right. Forward. Backwards. And then you have your roll. In either direction. So when you consider what you have here, and it's I struggled with this when I started with when I used to play flight simulators a lot. Short of the F-22, there weren't really planes that could move this way at speed and really be able to do anything. So if we go over, oh man, it's being ridiculous. Give me a sec. Well, actually, we'll move this back to there for a moment. There we go. Okay. Get another one. Okay. So let's set this back up. Let's put this here. Put that there. And then we're going to draw our direction. So we're headed that way. So we want to work on this transitioning. So as we're flying forward, we want to maintain that direction forward. We're going to roll, and then we're going to start to pitch towards the ship.
Now while we're pitching, we're still going that way, and then here's where I struggled a little bit. To continue in that direction, this distance, this line that you're traveling on here transitions from forward into downstrafe. For you to be able to continue in that direction, it's downstrafe. You're still going at your original heading, but you're facing a different direction. And the cool thing about it is it allows you to do quick direction change. Like, I don't want to fly in front of this guy and hit him. I want to keep shots on him, but I also want to make sure that that missile that's here passes by. Now, if I slow down or continue straight, those flares that were popping off, if I'm continuing straight, whatever it's all behind me. So that's what the missile sees. Now, if I am pitching and using downstrafe with a little, and still going forward too, just not as much. It's transitioning. You see the line of sight? You see how that gap starts to widen between the missile's initial heading, where my ship is and where those flares are? And it takes some practice. So the best thing to do is go in the third person. Move your camera back, give yourself some distance to actually see where your flares are as you maneuver, to give you a good idea of where they will be when you're doing stuff, especially in regards to dodging missiles. Let's get this out of here. Now, as far as getting used to maneuvering based on the diagram that's set here, what I did for a little bit was I would go out to Yella and I would pick an asteroid field. You know, with some asteroids in close proximity. And what I would do is I'd go in the third person. I'd make an assessment of what it was that was around me. And then I would just approach an asteroid. And I would work on maneuvering around the asteroid and using my rear view camera and third person to kind of see how close I was, to get an idea of at what speeds, how much I would move in other directions than what was intended. For instance, if you're going forward and you want to go up, if you have a static point, it gives you an idea at whatever your set speed is of how much you will continue to go forward as you attempt to go up or down or strafe around while maintaining focus on your target. The other thing is about going into third person view. It allows you to see during those times your proximity to other things around you, like this asteroid here as you move around. And it takes a little while to get used to, but I think you being able to see where your ship is in space in proximity to other things that are static, it kind of helps you get a better understanding of what is going on around you, or in situations where there are things coming towards you. Now, unfortunately, in Star Citizen right now, you can't see with the speed. I think it comes up as 0. Like if you target a ship. Actually, let me go back to that real quick. Yeah, it definitely doesn't show. There we go. Let me move a little bit closer. Right there, where it says the name, it says the distance, but as far as how fast he's going, it says 0. So it does kind of make it a little bit hard to gauge, you know, being able to catch somebody when they're passing you, or even their approach for that matter. I eye it up the best that I can, being that I can't get a gauge on how fast he's moving. But that is something to practice and work on to get you more familiar with where your ship is in space and being able to move around targets. And really right now, with going up against another ship, even NPC ships, it's a guesstimate of how much lateral movement, how much horizontal movement you want to apply when you're doing something. So the best thing is to do, you know, take the ship that you're comfortable with and gauge it. Practice on static target so that you know how close you're going to get to it, because that at least you will get the distance from the target, and use that as a gauge to work on getting familiar with your surroundings and being able to move in them. Situation is a little bit different where there's more atmosphere, but we'll cover that in a different video. Just to also let you guys know, I do my Patreon went up recently. Looking forward to getting some support from that so I can continue doing stuff like this and adding more graphics and technology and things like that to, you know, better explain, give you guys a better idea what it is that's going on. There's also some offerings in there for hands-on, one-on-one stuff with me. We'll have sessions like this, and there's a curriculum set up and everything for basic and advanced, getting familiar with flight, combat, and things like that. I hope that this was helpful. I know somebody had mentioned in the comments in regards to it being difficult for new players to do some of the things that I show. So what I did was I just presented some foundational things that I used to get familiar with what was going on, because when I started, you know, I'm used to primarily forward from flying, you know, regular airplanes, not spaceships, in flight sim games. So it takes a little while to grasp the range of motion that you actually have and what you can do with that, especially when it comes to moving in a direction that you're not facing. So that's it for now. I'll talk about a few more things when we get into the final thoughts. And as always, you know, let me know what you guys think in the comments, and stay frosty. I'll see you soon.
I hope that this video proves to be a great aid. I added a little more detail to the sweep portion of the video, so let me know what you think in the comments. The channel is progressing in a positive direction, and I am thankful for the views, likes, and sharing of the content. As previously mentioned, my Patreon is live, and if you feel so inclined, please check it out. I look forward to the future of this channel and continued engagement with you all. Make sure to check out the poll that I posted and share your current flight setup. Till next time, stay frosty, and I'll see you in the verse. 11 out.